Welcome back to the final round, back 9 of the 2020 Resistance Discs Open. I'm Scott Withers here with Jeff Korns. Jeff, we got some action on that front 9, and we got some people making some charges from other cards.
Absolutely. There's lots of guys that we saw up on the leaderboard from round 1 and 2. They're making moves final round. Different shot selections demanded to Dexter. So, it's bringing other people's games into play.
Yeah, wooded course, just like Camp Serene, but a very different beast. So you can see lead card, 3 down, 2 down for Cole, and then 1 for Jarod and 1 for James as we move into the back 9. And it starts off with a wooded hole, but then we get a little bit of relief from the super tight woods. This one's 243. They call it Stairway to 11, and it is straight up the hill. And hopefully the camera does it justice to how far and steep this is right off the bat.
Okay, I'm so glad it does, because even though it's 243, a lot of players are ripping mid ranges at it, and you got to pump it up there.
Yeah, I totally agree with that mid range play. I'm taking a rock or an MD3 or something. James is going to go a little less traditional line, but something that's opened up a bit. The forehand gets through. I worry about hitting those trees on the left, trying that and coming back down the hill. But if you don't hit them, it's a much easier play to get up by the basket.
Yeah, I played a practice round with James on Friday, and I kind of showed him that line. I like to play that because there's one tree right in the middle here that has kind of a white spot on it. I just love to pull every single backhand that I throw into that, because this is kind of a tight gap and where the tee pad's placed. It's kind of a weird spot, and you kind of see Jarod have a weird angle and release on this shot there.
It is a very awkward tee shot. It's something that I almost wonder if back in the day when you were throwing DX distance drivers that were super flippy, if it didn't play better for this uphill shot than the equipment that we use today.
I wonder. That's a interesting way to think about it, and I don't think that really comes into thought a lot when you see courses that have been around for decades. What the discs that were designed with holes in mind.
This is an old course. It's been around forever.
Absolutely.
There was definitely players playing here with all DX bags in the early 2000s. Cole misses a putt, hits the tree, and gets an unlucky rollout down the hill. I am right off the band, and I'm in one of those streaks that we talked about earlier where you're parring every single hole at Dexter, and you're just seeing other people who are playing hot make birdies and jump up the scorecard, and you feel like you just cannot get off the schneid.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll bring it back into play. We talked about Andrew Rich being 6 down through the front 9 with a bogey. Andrew Rich birdied this hole. So you're probably sitting there thinking, Andrew's picking up strokes on me right now, even though he's a couple holes in front of me.
And this is new for this year, right? Live scoring tells you where you're at all times. And I have it open because I want to know. Maybe sometimes it hurts because I think about it too much, but at the end of the day, we grew up playing sports where you have leaderboards in front of you the whole time. I want to know what's going on around me, and there was a real chance sitting here through 10 holes that I think Andrew had tied me up at this point or was very close to it, and he just kept making birdies and wasn't stopping.
Yeah, I do remember at one point checking the leaderboard because I was up at Tournament Central watching some of the other divisions come in, and at one point I looked and I said, oh my goodness, Andrew Rich has caught and passed everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's on, at this point or a couple of holes later, but he makes some serious moves.
Yeah, great start for him. We're out of the woods for just a moment, but I think this is the hardest hole in the world for me personally. It's 386 downhill. There's nothing in the way, and I mean nothing until two trees that only help you at the end of the flight. I can't park this hole to save my dang life for some reason, but you're going to see a lot of wide hyzers that start out over the road like James did here, and you're really just looking to come in a little right of where that one came in at and take a baby skip. He's going to have a putt, but there might be some branch issues from that left tree.
Yeah, for me, this hole works out well. I've got a disc that I know if I throw it hard and I just, it's going to go the right distance, it's going to fade at the right time, and it's going to be around the same area. So if you got something like that dialed, it works well. Cole kind of crashes the trees there, and he's got about a 25-footer, maybe less for birdie.
Are you throwing a Force or an Onyx on this hole?
I throw a Raptor on this one because I don't flip there's no way I'm flipping that over into the road, and it's got about the right speed to just start fighting towards, fading at what's about 330 feet is probably what it plays as to the basket, maybe less.
If there's a spot that has all the grass worn off it where my disc is, it's because I throw it there every freaking time. And I only play here twice a year, maybe. But I cannot get this thing wide enough for some reason. Jarod shows exactly how it's supposed to be done, gets it wide enough, and actually comes in right of the right tree, which is exactly what you're looking for. I am in full layup mode from here. The road is about, I don't know, 8 to 10 feet from the basket.
Yeah, probably about 10 feet or so is pretty accurate. I mean, I get why, you don't want to err on the side of right, because hanging out in the road and, going OB almost 100 feet back up the fairway is definitely no good. But you saw Cole kind of run it and find a bad branch and end up OB.
Yep. James, safe somehow.
Wow.
This is a pretty congested area of the park, and I do remember James stood there and waited for a long time for the group that was teeing off on hole 18, and you can see cars and jet skis coming out of the park. That lake must have been real cold that day, but it's tough when this basket's in this position, or, I mean, even in the short, because there's just so much going on around this pin.
Ooh, Jarod sneaks it in the left side there. You can't really see it, but it kind of toilet bowls around the rim. And 18's fairway is also right behind there. These guys are all looking at their buddies finishing up their rounds earlier.
Yeah, Cole, that putt, I mean, you got to try to make it from where he's at, especially when you're not leading. Like, it's a must. You have to try. Yep. But the punishment to not making it is, unfortunately, going out of bounds.
Yeah, you really got to draw a medal on that one if you're going to give it the full run. But still not out of it yet. There's tons of stuff to happen.
Yep. We're going to move into hole 12. And this plays just completely the opposite way of what we just played. 405 feet uphill instead of downhill, and you can pump it as hard as you want here. You're going to see a variety of shots. I think experienced Dexter players that have good rollers like to take distance drivers and kind of throw power rollers up the hill with them. Jarod is going to be doing that. And it's on a good angle.
My play is definitely the roller. I don't have it's a full driver like shot for most pros. This probably plays about 460 plus to get it up the hill.
Yep. Jarod, good roller, just a tiny bit right. And your only real job with the roller is to get it down moving the right direction and see if you kind of get through at the end. James, a little bit right, I believe, on the roller. Got a little air under it. I'm going Cloudbreaker as a roller here, and this is a shot that I get to practice at Bryant Park all the time because there's like 3 holes out there that you throw power driver roller and climbs up the tree, and I'm going to have about 25 feet. I'm real excited to have it there, especially after I've parred like 4 or 5 holes in a row.
Yeah, this is the 4th hardest hole on the course. It averages 0.12 over par, so, this is definitely a bonus birdie and a good one to get.
What a rip by Cole here. So it's a skip. Oh, and it goes off of the cage and a little tickle on the chains. We're going to get another look at that. That's the best shot I've ever seen in this hole.
I was standing up at Tournament Central and I heard everyone yell, and I had no idea what happened until after the round where someone told me that Cole hit the basket on an air shot.
He gets in the way a little bit, but you can see it hit chains first maybe, and then just top of the cage, literally inches from what would be one of the best aces I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that would have been an ace that we talked about at Dexter for a while. He'd be disappointed that he accidentally almost stepped in front of the ace. He would have been crushed if he blocked it the whole way, but what a shot.
That's one that small tournament like this wouldn't have got on, but that's a Sports Center worthy ace if it had went in.
Absolutely. Like, that's, I would want to see that on the Alti World Ace of the Year voting for sure. Like, that's next level. This hole's a pump.
Yeah, like you're saying, it plays every bit of 460, especially when you're throwing the air shot to it. James cleans his up. Jarod's going to take par. Here's where my roller ended up, and I'm going to do some lumber moving, but I would take this every single time I play this hole for the rest of my life and be super excited.
Oh, yeah. In the circle, wherever it is on this hole, I would 100% take it. It's, like we said, it's a bonus birdie. It averages over par. That's a really good one to get.
Yeah, not very confident on the putt here, and I'm feeling like the wheels are being held on by one lug nut currently, and I need a couple more put back on as we go down the stretch because Andrew's still tearing it up, and these guys are getting a little closer with some good shots. And we were just looking down, and a lot of the Eugene local guys were screaming up the scoreboard here.
Yeah, this is another one that Andrew birdied. He throws a lot of rollers as well. He's super proficient in his roller game. So he's got all the tools out here to make a move, and he's doing it.
Yeah, so I've separated just a tiny bit from our card at 24 under, 4 down for the round. The other 3 are all at 2 under for the round, which is pretty normal Dexter scores, honestly. I know a lot of times on videos and you're seeing how many we are under par, but this isn't Camp Serene. Like, Dexter's got some teeth.
Absolutely. Like, the tournament course record out here, I think, is 13 down, I think. And that's like a 1070, 1080 rated round. It's super, super good.
Yeah, it's so good.
We talked about it going into this day. We're like, do you think anyone's going to hit double digits? And I was like, if someone hits double digits, it's going to be, a 1070 rated round. It's going to be super hot. And it could, give someone a chance to win the tournament.
Yep, and it did with Andrew playing as well as it didn't. It put him in position coming down the stretch, and we'll see what happens. But this hole is 290. It's as mandatory of a forehand or thumber as you're going to have, or high turnover backhand. I've always thrown the flex on the inside of this first tree. I watched Cole and Jarod both go outside of it. And I don't know if that's something newer that opened up or just something that I've never tried. But they both throw really good drives, and I came up quite a bit short trying to throw the flex.
I'm starting to question why I don't throw the clean hyzer, and I try to throw the flex line as well.
Is that new? Like, did something go down where you can throw this now?
I don't know. I'm really lost because I play this course pretty frequently, and I'm like learning something new that I didn't understand was there, I guess.
Yeah, I give it a conservative run. Again, basket relatively close to out of bounds. I'm not trying to blast that one past from 65 or 70 feet and get a penalty stroke. James, edge of the circle, just a little bit on the soft side with the putt. Jarod, bang, getting that birdie.
Yeah, and Cole is parked for his birdie as well.
God, these look so easy on the outside. I mean, they were very well executed shots. But props to those guys for choosing the correct line where they could just throw a normal forehand and not making the hole harder than it needed to be.
Yeah, great shots by them. And you and James will just clean up some pars.
As we get done hole 13, and you know what's coming up. You know what's coming up with 14 being the only birdie hole we have left. And then 15 through 18 is kind of the gauntlet. Like, none of those are birdie holes. What's your mindset? Like, is there added pressure to birdie 14 just because of how easy it is compared to what's left?
Oh, absolutely. As you see hole 14, and we'll talk about the stats, this is the easiest hole on the course significantly. So you definitely want to end off with a birdie, but what are you looking to do down the stretch?
Yeah, I think you want to go 3 for 5, including hole 14, and see where it takes you, especially being at 24 under. So we're going to take a quick break and kick it over to a sponsor, and then you'll get to see hole 14.
This video is brought to you by Resistance Discs. Head over to resistancediscs.com and use code CHSports at checkout to get free shipping on any order over $25. Thank you to resistancediscs.com, and let's get back to the video.
And as we talked about, easiest hole in the course coming up here before you really get into the gauntlet. This is an absolute must get. It's a backhand putter. It's a forehand, throwing putter or mid-range. It's just there, and you got to go get it.
Yeah, it's right in front of you. It's, just over 200 feet. This one averaged 0.7 under par. Lots of birdies.
Yeah, right. Is that just for the MPO field?
That is just for the MPO field.
Okay. So yeah, not a ton of pars, and every single person should have some sort of a putt. There was some branches that used to hang over. They're gone because of a storm. There's a long setting in this hole that doesn't get played a ton, but you can see we're all throwing forehand because you can aim basically as far left as you want. You've just got to commit to making sure you stay left and don't kind of chop it into the hills on the right. But in reality, this is, I guarantee, the most aced hole at Dexter also.
Oh, yeah. You just, as you're seeing, like some of the guys throwing the forehand over stable disc, they're just poking it up and letting it crash in on the basket.
Yep.
It's
another very
right
acceptable
there.
play. Yep.
Yeah.
All four of us inside the circle. James is the farthest out at 16 feet, and that's what lead card should be on this hole. It feels like your one deep breath that you get to take and relax for just a second before we get into the next 4 holes.
Yeah, coming down the stretch, 15, 16, and 18 are 3 of the 5 hardest holes on the course. And I definitely set them in pin positions that, are birdieable, but are definitely bogeyable, potentially worse. Just because, if it was close, I wanted the leader to potentially try to put it away, someone to make a run, or, something in the middle. So there's lots of action that can happen down this last stretch at Dexter.
Yeah, and watching the live scoring, I needed that birdie on 12 and 14 to get that lead back from Andrew. And as we are playing hole 14, I remember he was actually on 18, and I was just waiting to see, 18's a really tough 2, but if he got it, I was going to have to get a couple more birdies coming in to be able to steal this thing. But the fate of the tournament at this point with 4 holes to go is in my hands, and I'm going to determine win or lose here. Jarod is only 2 back, though, and like you said, 15 and 16 for sure can be double bogeys if you don't throw a good drive.
Yeah, absolutely. 15, 485 feet, but definitely reachable. It is, somewhat significantly downhill, but you have to hit this initial gap, and then you're going to have to miss some guardian trees late.
Cole gets through the gap. He's going to be too far right. This really needs to go left. He actually, it's not terrible.
Really good, actually.
Yeah, I think he ended up 70 feet right of the basket. That's how far left this has to go, and I think he actually threw it a little too far.
Yeah, you kind of want to take it really tight like Jarod did. He clipped that last, gap tree off the fairway. If you can go inside, you have a chance to push really straight and get up the left side of the fairway, or if you try to go deep where Cole went, you have the chance to get deep, but you are trying to really get some left movement at the end to keep you, get you inside a circle 2 or better.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Given the situation, being 2 shots ahead of everyone in your card, and they think maybe 1 shot ahead of Andrew at this point, or maybe tied with Andrew, but he was a few holes in front of us. When Jarod hit the first tree, or the last tree, I guess, getting out of the initial gap, I knew it was still a tough birdie from there, and I could put a lot of pressure on if I hit the gap and got one to go left. I wasn't even really thinking about a birdie. I'm literally just thinking on this tee shot, let's get it clean, let's let it skip left, and get yourself an easy par for if somehow you get a birdie opportunity, that would be awesome.
Yeah, just put yourself in play, try to get to anywhere where you're just, have an easy up and down to the basket is definitely the move.
Good shot by Jarod for sure to get his machete on the outside line through. And James also gets through. And you're going to see a couple things that when your drive ends up back there, you don't get a whole lot of par putts. So really good job by those 2 to have looks.
Yeah, Cole is pin deep, just way right. And what a bid.
Like we said, about 70 right and throws it off the cage.
James had an opportunity, but didn't like it out of his hand.
Decided to pick on Cole's putter on the ground instead of the chains. Jarod, a little bit of branch issues, maybe? Nah.
I think these branches are on the other side, yeah.
Yep.
And that's a huge par save. Massive.
And a deserved fist pump.
Yeah, that's one to feel juiced about, especially since, he needs that. It could potentially be a 2-stroke swing against him if he doesn't pick that up. He needs that par to stay within 3 of you.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, 3 now with the birdie. I'm going to guess that if we had CTP flags out, that would have probably been the closest drive to this basket for the day.
Very good chance. I want to look and see. We had 3 guys get the 2 on this hole. You got it. Local Nathan Ryan got it. I think he threw a forehand roller, though, and got it. And he does that. It's kind of weird, but it's crazy.
Of course,
Taylor Coulomb picking up the birdie. Great 2s to get on that hole from those guys.
Yep, and that is a hole that you see 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s on with a lot of groups. We have 1 birdie, 1 bogey for James, and then Jarod and Cole with pars. Now I know 3 up with 3 to play. This is the last real danger that I have to navigate, and it's hitting this gap that's only about 20 feet wide and about 80 feet or 90 feet off the tee box. Maybe it's not even 20 feet. This is a tough tough shot. And I'm going TL3, and your only job here, if you're me, is just to hit this gap.
Yeah, you want to get clean initially off the pad, and then you really have to hit this late tunnel with some drift like you're doing. Oh, but just clipping something late. If you can hit that gap and keep something turning at that, and that at that distance it plays like you're getting something to drift at about 360 plus feet is a super technical shot, and this green is very hard to access.
That TL3 is the perfect disc for this hole. I think Cole's going to the tracker that we talked about on the first day that he got from our buddy Dion Arlen. There's low cover, which I hit. I thought I was going to have a putt at this one, which is a really cool pickup. There's junk on the right that Cole got into. Jarod doesn't get through the gap, and that's a long way from the basket and not a real good chance to make par. James is going forehand just to make sure that he hits the gap.
Yeah, on this hole, there's a lot of different plays. Some people try to just play it to that second gap where you're going back into the woods. The short position is just about 40 feet past that second, the second gap James is moving through now. And I like to just try to play this to the short pin and then just scramble up to the deep and just play this for a 3. There's so much danger on this hole, and I don't like to mess with it.
Oh, so much. This hole's got so much scoring separation. You see hole 6, which might be tougher, and you just have all 3s and 4s. You can get 2s on this hole, but man, you can get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, this is the third hardest hole on the course, averaging 0.26 above par. So lots of danger to be had. The birdies are potential. Doesn't look like anyone on the card is going to be picking up one here. There were 3 on the day, though. Chris Becker, Landon Mortensen, and Chris Nelson all picked up the birdies on this hole. I think 2 of those guys definitely said they were in circle 2 to pick them up.
Those are great drives. I thought my TL3 had a chance. You can see where James' forehand ends up. This is about as good as a forehand's going to do for most players, unless you have that real elite distance forehand, like the Eagle McMahon forehand distance or something. But if you're just playing it for par, like I think he was, great. Great result.
Well executed,
really easy.
Yeah. Good par from Cole.
These baskets are made for Cole's hyzer putt.
Oh, the way he jams them in there. Jarod and Cole probably would love to play on Prodigy baskets for most of their career, the way they stick their putts in there.
I would agree. Especially Cole's a little more angle on his putt, and the way these have like the kind of webbing design in the middle, you can't get any cut throughs and stuff. So that is the best part of these things, is if you do hit the middle and you hit it hard, they're definitely going in. And Jarod, a little low right for bogey. And now I know that the tournament is essentially over minus whatever Andrew did, which we look at the scorecard and he bogeyed hole 18 trying to 2 it. So
yeah, you'll see hole 18. It's, the second hardest hole on the course, and we'll talk about it more once we get there, but it is 2able. It's 525 feet and it's wide open, but it requires a technical shot to get there.
Yep. So for the first time in this tournament, after I par this one and see Jarod take the bogey, I get to take a deep breath and realize that the last 2 holes, my job is to go par on now, and I don't really have to do anything crazy.
Yeah, 17's a gettable hole. It's on the easier half of the holes on the course, so there is scoring to be had here, even though it is, wooded, uphill, but gettable. And then, like you said, just playing clean on 18. You just want to take a par on that hole to finish your round.
We move into 17, 313 feet uphill. This is your typical stable fairway driver for most players, up the right side, maybe that Thunderbird speed. You can see Colin throws the graphic up. Andrew did bogey hole 18, and he's in the clubhouse at 23 under. So now it's something for the other players to think about a little bit more than me. I hit the gap and got a branch that's hanging over and kind of kicked down to the right. It should be a pitch up par, but a shot that I thought hit the gap and it just didn't quite get rewarded.
Cole's going driver here, swinging it wide right, and that's honestly a good kick back to the fairway. It is really thick left and right early.
That looked like a late release from Cole, but Get back to the middle. You'll have a chance to get up and down. James taking some time and hits the line real nicely. Going to beat the trees. It does, and gets up into putting range. Great shot for what is, this hole's got to play at par, not much below it.
This hole actually plays 0.2 below par.
Okay, that surprises me. I feel like it's a little harder than that.
I mean, that is just for the MPO field. We had a good handful of birdies on the hole, some bogeys as well. I'm sure we'll see potentially some of both from this card. Cole's got some, meat on the bone definitely to get up and down and try to save his par because he's fighting for a podium finish right now.
Yeah, and that upshot looked good. He gets up into putting range, is going to have something. Even though I hit the branch, I kind of push forward quite a bit, and it's just the old jump spin putt. And this camera angle really gives you an idea on how uphill this hole is.
Yeah, this hole is 313 feet, but, you see a lot of guys going fairway driver or distance driver just to get, plenty of speed. And Jarod with a little rough slip there.
Full
frustrated with himself.
Not happy. I don't think that felt very good. I think that kind of hurt his knee.
And Jarod, he wants to run every putt, so he wants that. He feels like he probably missed an opportunity with that slip.
Yeah, because him and Andrew are battling currently, and he needs.
Yes.
I think Jared's at 22 or 23 right now, so. Bang! Good putt, Cole. Spins it, fires it. Cole is not scared of putting in baskets, and he shows that real consistently with how firm he putts, and that's a great quality to have.
Absolutely.
My putt takes the same amount of time from half the distance that Cole's does to go in, but they're the same result at the end of the hole. And we'll clean up pars, and after drives that were okay, and not great. James's was pretty good that we all end up taking threes. So yeah, there you have it. I'm at 26 with one hole to go. Jarod and Cole are both one shot behind Andrew Rich, who's in second place in the clubhouse at 23, and then James is at 20. So we've kind of rounded out some decent scores on this card, but nothing super spectacular.
No. I mean, from here, for you, it would take almost a catastrophe at this point to put yourself to lose or to put yourself in a playoff. But Cole and Jarod are still playing for potentially a second place finish. This hole is long. It is gettable, though. Some players will throw the air shot. Some players will throw the roller.
Yeah, I don't know how gettable it really is with the air shot for anyone here. I mean, maybe the Garretts and the Eagles can get true putts at this, or the Drews or something. But if you're throwing air shot here, you're really playing for a large putt or kind of a layup par. And in the situation that I was in, there was no reason to try to go roller. For some reason, the shape of this hillside just carries rollers so far with a little bit of slope. So that's how you two this hole.
Yeah, if you can throw something that's got some flip to it and play the cut angle into the hill, it wants to fight up the whole time, but the hill is keeping it on that angle. There's definitely a lot of potential to get really far down there with that. I mean, like you said, the air shot isn't really that much of an option to two. I've brought Eagle out here, and I've seen him put it inside the circle with an air shot, but he's throwing PD2 on max power, trying to get it there to do it.
Yep, Jarod going cut roller like you were talking about. And Jared's roller game is real good. It's really, really good for the fact that he lives over in Bend and doesn't get to throw any rollers ever. But you can see it there. The hill kind of carries the roller to the left. And that's up by where my air shot went, and I got all of mine. Like, I threw it hard, got the full flex out of it. So good roller by Jarod, and it's going to give him an outside chance to bury one to tie Andrew for second.
Yeah, I don't think Cole, Cole just looks like he's laying that up, taking the par. Jared's going to probably be in circle two, though, looking about where James is.
Yeah, James looks like he's 60 to 70 feet out. Gives it the height. Oh, and almost buries it. Good effort by James. Jared to tie for second place. Oh, that hit a lot of chains. I don't want anything to do with the chains. I'm just going to lay mine on the ground. But great effort by Jarod. Great roller. And really good effort on the putt. Man, that thing just hit barely left of the pole.
Yeah, I was standing there watching at this point, and I was rooting for that to go in just for the fact that it would have been, a massive move to take a 2 There was only 1 2 on the day on this hole. Taryn Ferguson got the 2 on it. And that's, he's the only one. It averaged .35 above par. There were double bogeys on this hole. This hole's tough.
Taryn throws a disc a mile, so it's not surprising. But I'll take my par, and this was a long weekend of golf. And, we play 3-round tournaments all the time, but, man, playing a couple rounds pretty much blind at Serene and then coming down and playing Dexter, which is always something that I don't tend to score super well out here. I just don't have that many rounds. That was a mental grind for 54 holes, and one that I'm really lucky to have picked up at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the round ratings were pretty good. Andrew Rich ended up, what did he shoot on the day? He shot a 9 down. So we talked about potentially getting double digits. Andrew's 9 down was 1059. So
yep.
Great round from him.
I'm sure that if he didn't need to birdie the last hole, he probably would have taken the par instead of the bogey, so he could have had a round that was close to 1060. But you see Andrew, and then the next 2 hot scores are Chris Becker and Nathan Ryan, which are also local Eugene guys. So congratulations to those guys. Jeff, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, Scott. I'm glad to join you here, and congratulations on your win at the 2020 Resistance Discs Open.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Hey guys, Colin here with CH Sports. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to my coverage sponsors. These videos would not be able to come to life without these people's help, so I really appreciate it. There's plans starting as low as $3 a month, and every single dollar helps grow the channel. If you would like to see your name or business listed in the credits of every single one of my videos, please head over to patreon.com/chsports.